Viewers, I told you. They come to make fun of me, that's what it is.
All right. We are live. 6 viewers, all right. Getting some people.
What are we showing today?
How's it going, guys? We're going to be showing... I'm going to be going over some open guard stuff, specifically the armbar that I like. And I taught a seminar at Pure last month, maybe almost 2 months ago now, where I went over the details of this armbar. It works really good from half guard. It can be from reverse De La Riva. Ed likes it a lot. I know that a lot of times when people pressure pass, this is like the ideal submission to keep someone back.
What's your submission count? You hit this in like in multiple tournaments.
Yeah, I've gotten this a few times. Definitely once at Naga, like real quick. I posted it on Instagram, and I went over it in one of the... Oh, I see Gus is already here. Gus is excited to see Ed.
See how fat I got?
Yeah, so I like it myself in tournaments, but also like I've seen it hit again. You know, high level guys have hit it.
Who's hit this?
Well, you know who's gotten this? What's his name from GF Team? I can't think of his name right now. He did well. He took third at ADCC.
Is this something that you were doing, or you saw him or somebody else do it?
Well, it's similar to the basic far side armbar they teach on AOJ. So Hoffa does it.
From far, they do armbars from kind of far sometimes.
Sometimes from far, yeah.
This is kind of unconventional for like an older style, right? Like this. Is this something that you were doing like a long time ago?
No, not necessarily.
People have been smashing half guard forever.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I was watching on one of the streams an old video of me and Derek Doyle rolling, right?
Oof, rough.
And this is like in the Green Mat days.
Ugh.
And I kind of went for... it looks like I was kind of doing it,
Thinking
but I wasn't...
about it, you didn't know.
I didn't know.
You were probably yelling at the video. Come on.
I was like, come on, push the head, step over. Like, I used it a little bit. Like, I was underhooking it, thinking about it, but there was a lot of things I was doing wrong. So, actually, I'll probably go over those
things.
That stuff's
got to drive you crazy. Watching yourself 10 years ago, you were a black belt.
Yeah,
but you still yell at yourself now.
So yeah, there's especially when I look at like positions like the deep half guard where I was making a lot of big mistakes. I was extending the arm too much. I wasn't protecting myself defensively. There was a lot of mistakes I was making.
Do you think something opened up specifically for it to change? Like one day the light bulb in your head went off for this far side armbar. I remember around the time because you're like, oh no, this is it. Because you were hitting this every roll. This is just your move every roll. What do you think changed to open it up?
Well, I did spend in training. I did a deep dive. You know, I just kept like every time I train, I wanted to figure out what the problems are that I will encounter when people defend it, because I wanted answers for all those because I was showing it to people. Other people were having problems, so I wanted to make sure I had all the answers. So I made sure, like for weeks, I was using it, and at the time, everyone was doing heel hooks and no-gi, but I was still able to attack this when people were thinking about touching my legs. So I was almost like, well, I could just attack a quick arm bar rather than falling back for a leg. Like it was almost like I was attacking with a submission to
create a reaction.
To create action and.
But you were finishing it though too.
Yeah. So once you start learning, like what people are going to try to do, then that's where the finishing rates go up.
But did you start finishing from the knee specifically, or was it just a feel for the underhook itself? If you were a certain distance, you can kind of grab and throw it up.
So, okay, the first easiest place I was able to get it would be against a kneeling opponent when they underhook the leg.
Oh, so you're saying this happened primarily no-gi. This is where you started.
Yeah, I probably started using a little more no-gi.
Because in the gi, we're not standing we're standing more.
So in the gi, you can use the collar a lot more. But let's just say we're in here in the no-gi scenario, and the person is underhooking this leg. So a lot of people, like, this is the beginning of the over-under, especially Ed's really good at this position.
But this is still
yeah, right over here, he can get to an over-under position. So a lot of times, in order to stop someone from smashing me an over-under, I got to get on my side and keep this knee up really high. And of course, the person's head's going to come down, and then I would just lift my leg. It's just a very easy redirection, because his head's coming forward, I throw my leg, and then I throw, and then his arm's going to be right over here.
But this is kind of where I get a little stuck when I'm on bottom.
Yeah.
Is
Are we in the clear? Okay.
here, right?
Yeah.
And do you have to move your hip at all or lift it at all, or is it just
Well,
the
you
leg?
you have to be on your side.
Okay, hips out though.
Now, very important that I'm using this hand always. This is the most important thing right here. You see this?
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm framing on the shoulder, framing on the bicep. If he tries to get close to me, I'm keeping him far away. I'm not going like this. This is a problem a lot of people make. Yeah, and then I get flattened out. In fact, I remember seeing. Yeah, I've seen students in tournaments give up passes because they're thinking about the armbar. They love it in training. They go two hands, and then they get smashed from here. Now look, how am I going to recover my frames now? It's very difficult. So a lot of times I'm like this, and then as he pushes, I just kind of like slingshot it, and then I step over. Then I underhook right here. I drive down, and my leg driving down makes you post your hand. I step all the way over, and then I figure four my legs. Now the main thing is my other hand. My other hand goes to the wrist. I don't go like this and like slide this hand up, because as I'm doing this, you may pull your elbow out a little bit, and this is the whole game in an armbar. Whenever I armbar someone, I want to pull his elbow as close to my chest, so now there's less give. So once I come here, this arm is keeping it tight. If Ed tries to pull away, I still have the elbow. Then the other hand grabs the wrist, rotates. Finally, the other hand covers, and I finish on the armbar. So that's the basic one right here. I'm here. I have a frame. He underhooks, but I'm pushing away. I don't want him to get close. If I forget this hand for a split second, his shoulder drops in my chest, and now I have no room to get the pressure back. So I come out, I keep my hips out, circle, steps over, here. This hand is going to underhook. I come in, I'm figure fouring and squeezing my knees. Then my free hand rotates the thumb. Other hand covers, and I attack the arm.
I feel like one of the problems I'm having though, I thought that you had to lift. There's no lifting at all of the hips, just back. You just got to keep your hips
you're
far
going to be
away from
on your side. You got to be as much on your side.
I guess my bottom knee must be coming up a little because I'm having a hard time. Even though I'm not flexible, I know I should be able to get my foot up and over.
So the more on your side, the more it's going to happen.
Okay.
You get over here.
See,
Now
this is the angle. See how close your head is? Yeah. My head and hip position is in this. That's what I'm missing. I think my head and hips are far, or I'm too close with both of them.
Right. So now here's the thing. Let's do it when we just have a knee shield. So with the knee shield, look, my bottom knee shield's here, top knee shield's here, and I'm going to do a collar grip here. Same thing. The person's trying to pressure in, so I'm keeping him away, and this hand is framing here. A lot of times the person goes to grab my pants, and why does he want to do that? To do this. And now if I go for it, I can sometimes get away with it, but it's problematic that you're going to get here. I at least have my knee in front of your shoulder, so if you come in here, I might bump you and then get the arm back. But what I want to do is I want to come here, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to move my hips back as I underhook the arm. Then I circle. See how it should be relatively easy to throw my leg over because I'm on my side. Drive, because I don't want him to connect his hand, so what I do is I drive hard to make him post with that hand, and then our finishing mechanics are the same. So I'm here, figure four, my knee is up, and he wants to grab it. So now, as I underhook, I'm going to move my hips out, come here, keeping his head away so that my leg should easily circle around. I drive, I force his hand to the mat, get to my side even more, and I figure four.
So the rule of thumb, this is a position you could find not just from here. Like you could find arm scoop. Sometimes I get confused on which leg is the figure four leg. Okay,
so if the leg that goes over the head always goes behind the knee.
Okay, so the top leg behind the neck.
You can kind of like, because you need to like bite down with your thighs like this, hooking over and here. And you don't necessarily need the figure four.
Just to pinch in the knees.
Yeah, pinch in the knees is usually good enough. But then as the person's moving around, I may end up changing to a figure four so that I can follow them a little bit tighter.
I think this is a big deal, that literally having an epiphany as you're moving your head forward and the hips back. That's for sure the reason I can't get my foot over.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially like if you're grabbing my pants and I go here, if I stay flat this way, this is hard
for sure.
Well, when I come out to the side, I just go out wide and I bump.
And like your leg, it's not like my head's down here. I hit your leverage.
Yeah.
Behind my neck, I'm the full weight of your leg.
Yeah, exactly. I'm over here. I'm in a position where I'm very strong. So same thing like from a reverse De La Riva. So here, I'm always have my inside hook, foot in, my leg on the inside of the arm. If he has his arm on the inside, I frame, circle, so I always have that inside position. Then I'm here, and it's the same thing. The person is staying here. I should always be framing and stuff like I shouldn't be grabbing the ankle unless his weight is on the other leg, right? So if he shifts his weight back, I can't arm bar him. Now I'm gonna want to grab this because Ed's gonna probably try to kick his leg free.
This one?
Yeah. So I want to hold on to it.
Right.
Possibly come underneath. So for here, and he's got his hand on my knee, same thing. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna push as I come to the side. Circle, drive. Now I force you in the position that I want it.
I was working on this like a lot when you first showed it, and I kind of got away from it because of the standing aspect of it. And I only play in the gi, so most people are standing, and I just wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting it. If you don't put your head when they're standing, there's no way. You can't make, and there's no room for mistakes when they're standing. They're too far. It's kind of like a timing because when you say it, it's a grab and go.
Yeah, a lot of it is you have to understand that what are you trying to defend against first. Defense, protecting yourself is the most important part of having a good attack first. Because if your defense has to support it. If you have nothing to, if you attack with nothing to support you, you're gonna fall flat sometimes.
That's true for sure for like being aggressive. My style is I'm on the other end of the bad spectrum where I like to have a grip, secure it, and then go. This isn't that kind of move. It's kind of it's a timing.
It is. It's a move that will happen. Like it works best when the person is giving you the proper energy. If a person, like for example, I'll have you go on by. So we're here. If I'm just trying to stay safe like this,
I can't.
Yeah, it's just obvious. You
I gotta do something else.
You gotta do something else. But now maybe you can use this to like open up and get like an underhook or something. And
here.
Right now I'm gonna start coming in this way. Now when you go to frame, and I start pushing. Now there's a chance.
That's what it is. When I do it, right, I make this and I do this.
Yeah,
I'll put my head.
Bring your head forward. Yes. Oh. Now look how the leg goes over.
Can we open jiu-jitsu again? I gotta practice this.
I know, right? Sometimes that's the thing you unlock that certain. And then of course, like the more I'm like here with my head forward, the more you can redirect my head and throw the leg.
I mean, that's like the basics of like that's my whole game. It's half guard. It depends whether they're coming forward or they're leaning back. So I'm good there. That's all it takes. One missed detail, and I look like a fish out of water. I'm like, this move don't work.
Right. Now the thing is, like we were talking about before, how I was trying to like get figure out all the things that people are going to do to counter, and we have to have like an answer for all these. That's why I started working on like what other type of guard or guard passes can I use this to defend against, So very common guard pass is double underpass, especially if someone's on their knees and you're going against a heavier person. They're not going to be standing and moving around.
He's talking to you, Jimmy.
Jimmy? Yeah, exactly. Come on, Jimmy. Hold on, we got a few. I was thinking about this position recently. What do you think about switching to a Kimura? You know what? I am going to go over the Kimura as well, Gus. What's up, Chester? We got one of the kids watching as well. So I am going to go over the Kimura because the Kimura and this far side armbar are used very similarly. It's just your hand positions are usually a little bit different, and the person's going to be posting their hand on the mat rather than the knee. If someone puts their hand on my knee, I'd rather go for the armbar. If they're just posting on the mat, there's a chance for the Kimura. I'm going to go over that in a second.
But there's the same kind of thing with the legs and getting their posture.
Yeah, you want them to have that energy. It's slightly different because people get frustrated and they don't want to come forward and maybe they post their hand in the mat. So there's where a Kimura would happen. But I wanted to go over this double unders. So we're here in these double unders. The defense is always control the hands, open the legs wider than their shoulders, because if I have my leg over the shoulder, Ed now can choose which side he can pass. He can turn either way. If I go here, Ed has to now pick one side to put onto his shoulder, and then he can start passing. But if I keep it wider in his shoulder, it becomes very hard. So I keep my legs wide. Once I feel that I can get one hip to the mat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an underhook right over here. So you see this position, underhook mounted my other hand. It's going to continue doing what we were doing before. I push the head. And then as I step over his head, I start pulling his elbow out. And then the hand will come out. At this point, sometimes I'll do almost like an omoplata orientation with my legs. Sometimes I'll put this foot in and fix it, but right now my knees are open, so if I try to figure four right now this way, there's space. So I may do a figure four in this direction to make the arm bar a little bit better.
Is it the same kind of thing with your head, or is it get a little smushed?
You do always have to kind of do the same thing. So I come here, I open, I walk down. Then I start getting this leg out, but I have to do this. Once I come here, it looks like I'm still vulnerable to get past, but since I'm over his head, I'm going to redirect and make this arm light, and the elbow comes out. Then I pull the hand out, and I figure four.
You ever get stuck there with their arm kind of just grabbing themselves there?
You have to work it out. So if they're grabbing it right here, I'm going to have to push down and make them almost have to post their head on the mat. And look what happened. This knee is really light. I can get inside here. And then I just pull out, Remember, always control the elbow with this underhook hand. I go to the wrist.
It's impossible to see it on the thing, but when you move your hips like that, your hip kind of gets in between my arm and my grip, and it's my whole arm versus your body instead of this.
And you start pulling it out. It's a very strong position. So that's a common one, but it's a very common thing for people to underhook your legs. So you can if you have a good counterattack, people will not want to do that pass anymore.
If they did start stacking you, but you're saying you're gonna walk back on your shoulders as you open your legs up?
Yes.
So you gotta walk.
So number one is always here and here.
Right.
The further back my hips are from the person, the more extended their arms are.
So if they're not picking a side, can you force them to pick, or you're waiting for them to pick which side they're going?
I usually do the side I feel most comfortable on.
Okay.
So
but you can kind of force.
Yeah.
The issue.
You basically open, you come here. If the person is walking in this direction,
you'll go with the flow.
Then I'll have to go with the flow. Absolutely. To the death. Show all stuff I can use on Ed. Good idea.
None of this will work, Dave. None of this will work for you. He just gets stacked too easy. I'll be right past him.
Yeah.
Smother him.
Which, by the way, speaking of To the Death, if you guys haven't checked out Ed and Dave Ross, Dave Ross of Core BJJ, everyone knows Dave, have started a podcast. The first episode was today. It was really cool. I listened to it this morning, which was really fun. To the Death, actually, I know is an Ed-ism.
Is mine?
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Oh, you say it all the time. Whenever we would roll, and it would be like...
I guess me and Dave kind of came upon it on our own. I guess we didn't... I didn't tell him.
You've been saying that to me.
Actually, I forget that. You know why? You know why? Back in the day, most people don't know this, because there was only 10 of us in class, is Yanni would... There was no timer. Yanni would say, okay, go. And then when Yanni thought it was time, then, all right, switch partners. And then if it was the last roll of the day, you just go. And then whoever gets tapped, that's the end of the roll.
That's the end of the roll. That's it. And but even recently, a few years ago, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, we'd be finishing the rolls, and then you'd be like, come on. You would want me to keep going.
This is the problem, because all I want to do is what? Just turtle. Yeah. And I know you can get me.
Yeah.
But I could stall you. If I'm in shape, I could stall you for the 8 minutes. and you usually kill me. Like on minute 8, you're usually in the mount with an arm. Just come on, I want you to. You earned it. You know, there's nothing worse than almost getting a sub when you know, I deserve this, and you deserve it, and I let you have it. I don't let you have it. I'm saying
you give me the opportunity to finish rather than.
Sometimes I can make you work for like 15 minutes. Yeah, not anymore. No.
What's funny is like last Tuesday when we were doing one of the breakdowns, I was like, oh look, this video of me and Derek Doyle rolling, and then after we were watching it, Andy was here. After we watched it for a few. He was like, how long is this roll? I was like, oh yeah,
we just go.
This is a 15-minute roll.
Well, you want to know why I'm such a turtle master? It's because of Derek Doyle. Yeah. We used to play those games. Yeah. And he is relentless. Yeah. And I'll roll with him half hour because he needs to sub me. He's not going to stop the roll. And I was never going to sub him. So it was just.
He would want to punish him.
It's like, all right, how long can I make Derek work? And that was it. And he got me in all the submissions, neck cranks. Whatever it took. So that's what toughened me up. But I don't advise people to do that. It's a real beating.
Dave Ross wants us to show all stuff that are outside of the scope of our video here. Okay, we will go over. I'll go over some of those questions too. He wants me to show.
I know what he wants. Don't show it.
Crazy Dog. Don't break Kiss the Dragon. But I do want to answer Gus's question on the Kimura because the Kimura is very similar. It's honestly like. The way I attack it should be very similar to this, and you can switch back to the armbar from a Kimura.
You can always switch back. There's always a second move.
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's the thing. If I'm playing an open guard like this, okay, sometimes the person is not putting their hand here where I can underhook the arm, but he's posting here and maybe leaning on this leg here, and he's not putting pressure on me. So what I can do is if I want to attack with a submission to get some movement going, I'll just take this hand down to the wrist. I'm going to drop my my knee shield for a second to sit up because it's very difficult for me to get close to him and push him away at the same time. You got to choose. So at this point, I'm going to come up almost like a hip bump, come around, and I wrap up the Kimura here. Okay, now, here's the thing. If I can get his hand behind his back, I'm probably going to roll him at this point. All right, let's actually move back so we don't run into the laptop. So I managed to get this Kimura, but I pulled it out. He didn't grab his thigh. I pulled it here. He's going to roll. I'm going to get on top. And then from here, I can use this to pass. But the problem is when the person grabs the thigh. I came for this, and he grabs the thigh right here. Now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to look to throw this leg over. Right now I feel like Ed's hugging my hip. If he's hugging my hip, that means I can probably fall to my back. And now he's got to use his hand to pose. Now I scoot back. And I'm going to start coming over. It takes sometimes a few trips. I have to get over his shoulder first, then over his head. And now it's the same concept. I drive down to make his other hand post hard. And then I'm going to step all the way over, maybe figure 4, pull the arm out. A lot of times he will roll when I get here. And then I'm just going to change to an arm bar because the Kimura's not there. It's only when I break the grip behind their back that I'll be able to finish the Kimura. So the situation's slightly different. I'm here, but his hand is here. Maybe he's not leaning so much forward. Okay, if he's coming forward, then I'm going to probably redirect him and underhook and go for this arm. It's when he's kind of leaning away. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up, grab the wrist, and I'm going to come over. Now watch what happens. I don't want him to grab his thigh. I'm going to scoot out and pull the arm out. And then I look to roll. If he grabs and he starts pulling away, so what's the counter for him to do this to me? Eventually, he's gonna start pulling his arm up and breaking the grip.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's actually a great counter. The more on my
guillotine.
The more exactly, it looks like a guillotine. He does a guillotine type grip, and he's actually reversing the pressure of the Kimura on me. So I want to be on my back to do a Kimura. So when he's defending and he's pulling back, this is when I'm gonna have to step over his head. 1, 2. Now I just treat it just like the armbar. I drive down, and then I step. Finally, I'm going to go over one thing. Now, this could be used for both the armbar and the Kimura, is if Ed starts sitting backwards, almost like he's going to sit back this way, and now it becomes hard to pull out, I'm going to actually pull my other leg out. And you see how my head is on the mat? This is important. I'm going to take my knee around, and I can I'll either take his back, or a lot of times I'll attack a triangle. I'm not sure if we are in frame for that. So I go for here, go for the Kimura. He's pulling me this way, so I can't pull the arm out, so now I'm going to scoot out. He's giving me the room to step over. If he isn't giving me the room, that means he's driving forward. I'm going to start pulling him this way. Come here, step over. Now he starts sitting onto his butt almost, so I'm going to come up to my knees. I put my knee behind his neck, and I just pick up the leg for the triangle, or I can end up falling to my back, and I start grabbing his lat. Using a Kimura too, so what does Ed want to do? He wants to turn into my guard, right? So I have to push his elbow forward. Try to get up again. Push the elbow forward until I feel that he can't get his hips high enough.
This is how most of our rolls end.
Yeah.
Just like this.
Exactly.
Here, I want to show just one thing. The only bit of knowledge.
Oh wait, what's this? Would you keep your leg over the head to prevent the roll?
In general, don't you not stop rolls? If they're going to roll...
They're going to roll, I'm going to go with it.
Just take them. It's less energy to fight them on it.
Yeah, so what did you want to show?
So, just a half guard.
You want me on mine?
Yeah. Just from my perspective. I'm not good at attacking arms, and I always want to just do stuff. I like to switch out of... If they're standing, I like to usually switch out of this. Or sometimes if somebody's really leaning back... You can't do underhook half guard. It's not there. So one thing to remember whenever, and it's just they have pressure here. This leg is not. They're not defending this. You can always at any time take this foot out, make space, switch guards. If you're not comfortable here,
exactly.
So if I'm doing this,
if he's making enough room, I can start coming here because what's going to happen? Most people do not want to go back into close guard.
No way.
He's going to come forward and then he's going to give me something.
Right.
It's kind of similar to
even if we're here and I ever do this, or if I'm standing up, I can always take this out, switch guards.
This out. Don't be afraid to take this out because when I have this out over here now, if Ed tries to go to side control, he's got to clear my foot first, and then I can go to reverse El Hilo. But he has to deal with this, and if he doesn't deal with this, I can go now to a better guard here. The full De La Riva is actually a better guard in the gi, especially because
this is
a lot more
I like to
attacks.
play here. So if I can get out of reverse or get out of half guard sometimes, and they're letting me, I'm gonna go to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, you can just do a guy who does an armbar every person.
Well, you pull the arm out, eventually they start backing away and they don't like it, you know?
Well, the problem is when do you want to be on your knees in the gi? And you're passing. You want to be on your toes, off your knees. If they're on their knees, if you're a person on top getting armbarred like this, you got to get off your knees.
Dave asked one more request to remove your stripe, so...
You can take it off.
You only have one?
You're the one who's giving me this.
Oh, man. I gave you that a long time ago.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
I've had this belt almost 4 years.
Oh, my God.
I'm pathetic.
I'm
an embarrassment to you. Are you ashamed of me?
I'm not ashamed. It's just...
You should have a black belt of your own. You don't have a white to black.
I know.
How long have you been teaching?
It
is. Partially for sure it's my fault. But what about all the other losers that stopped training?
That's true. A lot of people.
Exactly. Technically, Jeff should have been your first black belt if he kept up with it.
That is true.
He was your first blue belt.
He was.
But technically, you gave me my blue belt first because Jamie gave him.
Oh yeah.
So technically,
he didn't get it from me. Yeah, he got it from Jamie.
So take that, Jeff.
Is Jeff watching?
I hope so. I'll send him.
That'd be amazing if he was watching.
I still follow him. He's got kids now. I miss him. He was a monster.
Yeah, I know. Huge. Beast.
But he's
big.
You know what's funny about guys that trained at certain eras when they stopped? He's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
If you roll with him, his game is 2008.
I know.
You know the game. It's so different now.
It's different, and
it's different than 5 years ago.
Yeah, it is. It's true, and your game should always be evolving. You know.
Yours evolves like.
I try it all the time, just because. Also, I keep up with competition.
You've been training 20 years. You just started doing legs, like for real.
Yeah, exactly.
That's nuts.
I know.
And now you're the king at it.
Oh,
How does it feel to be on top of the mountain at everything?
Nah.
Except for strength.
Yeah, I need to work on that. Especially now. I haven't done a good workout in
We
a while.
gotta just get you on some cycles, that's all.
Yeah. Do some pull-ups. I was watching Donaher was teaching on his solo drills.
Is he doing
CBD?
special stuff now? Or
At the very end of the solo drills one, he shows a leg raise exercise. I was like, I can't do it that good. Dude, he's a beast.
Isn't he hurt?
I'll tell you what, he did this. He did toes to the bar.
Is he giving out any free stuff?
The DVD.
Oh, that's the free one?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. Good job.
Yeah, that was good.
Maybe we'll have him on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll invite him. You'll get a bajillion views. Maybe we'll just do one more thing. I do want to do one more thing in this topic, and then maybe I'll show one of the things that Dave was requesting. But when they try to step over the head, so understand that however you set up this arm bar, I come here. Now, if I allow Ed to walk around my head and come to the other side, he's now the angle for the arm bar is off. I can't arm bar him here, and he basically has me in side control. So it's like we have to know what we have to avoid. So once we're here, this arm, once again, this arm is all about pulling his elbow as high to my chest as I can, so he can't pull the arm out, and my legs are in. All right. If I don't have the hand yet, I have to have this hand on this side of his knee, because if he soon starts stepping, I want to block. And then if he tries to step over my head, a lot of times I can pull his arm out and go to the arm bar. He goes to step over, I block it, and this is number one. Sometimes he gets higher than my head, then I'm just going to use that momentum to take him over. And then I either step over, I can figure four, go under the head this way, standard arm bar. It all depends on the scramble there. I come here, he tries to come out, and I make sure, because I don't have the grip broken, this hand has to be over here. If he tries to step over, I'm blocking. If he forces the roll, I'll take it. But a lot of times he forgets about the hand, and then I redirect his knee down. And now his hand's exposed. I come here. Now if he tries to step over, it doesn't really matter. He has to worry about his arm.
Yeah, it's kind of the catch-22, that position. If you're trying to escape it, you're giving your arm up. So it's like a tiny window.
Exactly. But if you forget about it, because it's when the person is grabbing their thigh and then you're thinking, oh, I'll reach underneath and grab it, and then all of a sudden you leave yourself open for them to do it. So at that point, you have to know when to block. And like I said, if you're going for the arm and the person is sitting back, don't try to pull the arm out. Go to your knees, look for the back.
As somebody who is proficient in stalling, I would never try to run around the head.
Never.
If you're going to stall this, and you could take a beating inside your arm, I would sit as far back as I can and wait for them to try to bump into you and just play that game for a little while. And hopefully they get frustrated and go.
Yeah, that's why getting to your knees and threatening the back is a good. It's interesting. The one match that I did on one of the breakdowns with, it was one of Dan Powell's matches. He did something very similar. And obviously he wasn't planning on taking the guy's back, but he went back to go to the neck and then ended up changing back to the armbar. It was actually really cool. I'll have to,
from half guard?
He was on a belly down armbar.
Oh, belly down armbar, right.
And then the person was defending, and then he brought the knee behind the head and then ended up going back over the head.
That's one of your prime philosophies.
Yeah.
And in competition, I think it makes a little more sense than in the room.
Yeah.
When you're training regularly, but to keep moving.
Yeah.
And Dan Powell, the reason he's such a good competitor is he just has that killer instinct. He's going for the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And that's one of your tenets. Whenever you see me rolling with somebody in class and I'm just passed and just sitting there, you're like, come on, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, and make them work. But that's from ahead or behind. You got to constant movement. That's one of the hardest things to... I don't even know how you could teach that. I just watch you do it. And you tell me to do it. It's hard to just do. Because you're thinking, especially... if you're in unnatural positions that you're not used to, especially this for me, I get stuck because my hips weren't in the right spot. So now it stalls the roll for me, and I'm sitting thinking instead of just taking chances and making mistakes and learning.
Yeah, the idea is in training, you have to have, you should always be thinking of what's next, because actually I feel like I get more tired when I stop and like when I stop moving. It's when I'm constantly thinking, okay, person's defending, maybe I'll try to sweep them. If not, I'm going to try to do this. My mind is just constantly going. I don't get as tired as fast. I know I do get more tired when I'm like trying to hold and I'm.
You know what that is? It's probably because you're more in the moment. I think you get tired because you look ahead. You're like, 3 minutes left, or we just went through this battle. What's the next battle going to be? You're not thinking about the moment you're in right there.
Yeah, you can't get tired. Yeah, when you're thinking ahead, you know.
I think ice cream doesn't help either.
Yeah,
and I think you show up to class every day, so that helps too.
That does help a little bit.
You know, this layoff is like unbelievable for me, just because I want to train now so bad. Because they tell me no, I can't train. I just want it even more.
It's that's the thing. You don't realize how much you really.
This is the longest break you've ever taken.
Yeah. 20. Well, here's the thing. I hurt my knee.
Yeah.
So like I didn't train for like 2-3 months at that point. So
but you know what? It is fun when white belts are rolling, making fun of them, making mistakes and stuff.
But now we don't even have that.
Exactly. That kind of can supplement you. You can kind of live through them.
Exactly.
You know? I love doing that. There's nothing more fun than like a 4-stripe white belt doing something really wrong and just laughing at them and be like, what are you doing?
Come on, man.
Especially if it's on video and you can replay it over and over again.
Oh, we need to get more video footage, honestly, because now that's like, it's great doing the breakdowns of the matches, but a few people, like one person sent us one of, someone from Pure had sent us a video of them rolling, and then we're like, that's kind of cool, actually breaking down the video. For sure. Yeah, doing that.
That's right up your alley.
So guys, start, once we get back into training, start filming, man. Maybe we'll have
old matches. People got plenty of old matches.
Yeah.
Just send it to the email. What's your email you got that you want them to send it to?
You could send it to info@uptop, or you can, if you want to upload it somewhere, we can upload it to the cloud, to the MyCloud. I can send you the credentials if you email me.
There's nothing better than having Yanni critique anything, especially a video where you could pause.
Gus is taking offense to the 4-stripe white belt.
Gus, you're a prime target. and new blue belts.
We make fun of you often.
Yeah, somebody brand new blue belt, I love making fun of them. Just to keep them humble, I get made fun of too. Yeah, how many times you pointed out something wrong that I did? 10 million times.
It's like, why'd you do that? I love asking a person like why they did something, and I remember one time it was like, actually Min had won his division. It was like a purple belt division. Right. He had won it, and then afterwards I was like, let's watch this video because I'm very confused right here. I was like, why did you do that? And he's just like, he looked at me. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah. What kind of response would you rather have? Somebody that like makes up an excuse to plug in to justify it, or somebody that's like, which one would you rather get?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, at least knowing there's nothing.
You know what's classic at that? Classic. Yeah. It's like, what you just did there? No. Good or bad? He's like, I don't know. I just doing things, and then this happened.
Hope he's doing good, man. I know he's down in Louisiana.
I see him doing Snapchats, going hunting and stuff. He's doing fine.
That's great. That's good. Good to hear. I know that's like some areas I think are worse than others for sure. I'm sure he's.
Oh no, we're in the worst of it. There's only New York City is worse than here, so he's doing.
But New Orleans is pretty bad, I think.
Where is he? I think he's in North Carolina.
No, he's in Louisiana.
He's in Louisiana?
Yeah.
I don't even know where he is.
He's right outside of New Orleans. Or he might be in New Orleans. I don't know.
Oh, never mind. I thought he was in Carolina.
But he would probably like use his time to like go to the mountains.
Oh yeah, he's the mountain man.
Yeah.
No attention to detail, Brian. You would not want him running your kids' class.
I know. So should we answer one of Dave's questions?
Yes, we can give him.
So he wanted both like the.
Don't give him both. Give him one.
So Dave, which one is it? Do you want the Kiss of the Dragon counter, or do you want the Crazy Dog Pass?
Nah, he wanted the Kiss of the Dragon counter.
All right.
We know Crazy Dog Pass. I can't even do Kiss of the Dragon.
That's the problem. So how do I even show it? I actually showed this last time as well, but he wants a different counter. So we're here. When Ed goes to invert, right? First thing I may do is I drop to my knee, and he's gonna start coming underneath here. Now, sometimes, ideally, I want to like open this leg and get out of the reverse De La Riva. But sometimes the person has already like started tucking the knee underneath. So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna look to grab here, and I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna put my knee the knee that's on the floor, I'm going to put it behind his knee like this. And then I'm going to just fall. I'm just going to try to stay in frame as best as I can. Now, once I'm here, I have my knee behind.
All right, hold on.
Once I fall, I have this knee over here. I'm going to use this knee to pry my leg out. And then I put my knee in. And I come up. This will work gi or no gi too. So we're here, I'm staying on my knee, she got underneath. So now I'm going to put my knee up and over, and then I'm going to fall. We need someone to tilt the camera.
Dave doesn't understand. We got to show simpler moves.
Then from here, I use this leg to push as I free my leg like this. Boom. Then I just replace my knee. And then I come up. I have that one.
You know why I hate this is because you end up in these positions that you have, like, I guess that's a kind of common position for you now that you've been dealing with it, but that's a position that I'll for sure just be like, okay, I did the first half, and I'll just sit there
and stop.
like that. What's next?
Yeah, but the idea is like because the person wants to get underneath and expose your back, but when you get your knee on the other side of their leg, they can't really take the back, and then we're switching positions. It looks like I gave up a sweep, but it's pretty hard to actually get swept from there because I have the
like
leg control.
kind of their legs up.
The hip,
they can't get
and the one leg up, so they can't really get up. And then by the time there's a scramble, I'm going to be the one coming up, looking for that. So that's a good one. You know, that's something. It takes a little bit of practice, but
But that's a lot of practice.
Honestly, you do it once or twice, and
the move. You're right. You can make. It depends though. It depends whether you get it or not. Is like what belt you are.
The question is, will you think of it at the time? Because
that's it's resistance. What resistance do you hit? That's what's going to throw it. There's certain kind of weird resistances that you can get that if you're not solid being in that position over and over again, like that's a position you should slap 5 and go from, and just kind of feel the real resistance. That's why I like the resistance training from specific spots. Remember, like you were saying, Keenan used to do that. Let's get like 75% of the choke, go. So you could see every. So once we get to here, now it's 100% instead of 75%.
I know. It's similar to like how wrestlers train from a single leg.
I like that but I like that for sweeps.
Yeah, you can absolutely apply
that's how
that.
I would have to get good at that. I'm not good at that stuff at all right now.
Yeah, but anyway, this type of counter, this specific counter, I feel that it's actually simple to do. Like in drilling, it's simple to understand what you have to do. But the hard part is like that opportunity to do it is small.
The windows
so
are
then
small.
a lot of times you're like, oh, I could have done the move. Yeah, oh, damn. But what you got to do is get it one time where you like think of it the right time. Then you're like,
that's it. That's the moves. Once you hit it live with resistance, it just changes it.
Yeah.
It makes it different. And the windows for that are smaller than the windows for that armbar. They just like, and as you get to black belt, the windows get small. That's why jiu-jitsu gets harder and harder. Because with you're not going to sit there all day with your hand on my knee. As soon as your hand touches here, we're going for passes already.
I know, you're pushing. I'm pushing in. If I manage to get over your knee, if you still think about the armbar, it's a mistake.
It's over.
Then it's just everything is about like knowing what are the fires.
Actually, now that I think about it, when you started, people and the whole school started trying to do it. That was my favorite. That was like my birthday. People would just let me cut too close to them.
And you're like, oh, you get a nice armbar.
But then you get really good at it. That's like when we were doing half guard.
Yeah.
Nobody's passing your half guard now.
Yeah, exactly.
There's too many half guards in here. But we got to turn that into everything. We want to be the everything school.
Absolutely.
What is your thing now? Armbar? No. What is stuff that people have been picking up from you recently? Like
recently, I'm trying to think. I guess really it's the windshield wiper passing.
Oh my god, I've been trying that.
Yeah.
It's been tough though.
It's been tough. Honestly, and I got a good feel from it from the Roberto seminar just because we warmed up with the windshield wiper, and I was just like, oh yeah, you know, because we warmed up with it so much that I started using it a lot in training, and then you start finding these opportunities.
You find any problem I have there is when you're doing that windshield wiper stuff, I feel like at any time they could just sit up and maybe get like a free wrestling chance at me or grab a leg, or because I feel like I'm leaving them so much distance.
Here's the thing: for them to sit up, they have to get their butt away from their heels. So ideally, you want to compress their heels to their butt with chin traps, right? So if I'm here, so obviously if I do this, there's a chance for you to sit up because your heels are, but if I start coming in this way, you see, it's tough. So,
Right.
You know, and a lot of times you'll get to an angle. Let's just say I get to this like angle here, and I manage to get here. I can go back to the standard passes, and then if the person is just like starting to grab my hand or something, I'll start doing little windshield wiper movements as well.
But do you guys have them like kicking, or even before you get them down, like they're giving you extra resistance to come? They want to come up. They're kicking hard. Making space to
coming
sit
up is never a problem. The problem is in gi if they have a good grips on my sleeves,
right.
Because now I can't just use my hands, my feet. I have to break grips, and that's when you start combining.
So you're most
them.
worried about just like
If they can control my hands,
because they get your head to come.
now
forward.
they can head forward.
Right.
I can't shift my weight. But if they're just trying to sit up, all I have to do is crowd them as they
But
push.
if you had this, I'm saying like kind of before these grips
Yeah.
kind of happen. They're just doing that. They just want to play.
Yeah.
This game. And
Exactly. So now I'm gonna have to remove feet. Like if you go to sit back and you step in, I'm gonna have to remove the feet and then start coming in.
Okay.
And then as soon as you have an angle, you're gonna start setting up another pass or getting to a position.
I'm not comfortable in the transition where it's like to put them back or to accept them coming up and switching to something else.
Yeah.
Like, because there's got to be a point of no return when they really want to just come forward. You have to kind of switch to what you're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe in no-gi it's a little different, or it's easier to.
I mean, no gi. The people tend to want to keep butterfly hooks to elevate to try to get underneath you into like a single leg X, or getting into the legs. So that's where turning the knees inward help, and that's where you kind of have to do this because that's like the best way to avoid people getting inside on your legs.
So before you started doing this, were you mostly staying on your knees in no-gi?
Not really. I was still on my feet a lot.
But this definitely helps.
This helps a lot.
Because before it's kind of risky to. Guys want to come under. They want to load you up.
Because I would work a lot of my single leg X passing, and I would just work on that. But now I don't need to necessarily allow it, which is better. Why give the person an opportunity to get the single leg X where they could possibly attack a heel hook?
So when you're rolling, you never are going to do any of those like truck driver passes where they're sitting up or anything. You're always going to try to put them flat on their back.
Usually. I would only do something like that if I clear my feet completely and they have no contact with my legs. Then you can do a pass like that. Right? If you're sitting up, I can do something like I clear myself out, and then I can do.
So you don't do the other.
Yeah. Or you can do like, if you're sitting up, I'm here. I still make these same grips. I can come here, right? I can come this way. But a lot of times, as soon as I come here, they start scooting their butt away from me. Then I might go this way. Yeah. So those are the things, but.
Man, you would have killed 2010 you.
I know.
You would have been like, dude, stop training.
I'd be hitting all these moves on them.
We used to do all that stuff, the sit-up passes.
Yeah.
Those are tough to do now. They're still tough.
They'll still work, of course.
If you get the sleeve control. The force sleeve, I think.
Yeah, that's a great sleeve no matter what.
But that's hard sleeve. That's a hard grip to get.
Yeah, I usually use it off spider. Usually, I have spider guard, and then I break the grip, keep the sleeve, and then I pass it off.
See, I don't play spider guard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about those grips, I just can't keep it.
Unless you're playing De La Riva, they grab the pants, then you take the spider grip, kick.
I think it's just that, it's just not on my radar. I'm not even thinking about it sometimes, and I should be. Because when you sit up and you have a dynamic kind of put them on their back foot, it opens up everything else.
Yeah.
Kind of sitting up.
There's not a lot of answers from controlling someone's far sleeve that they can do.
There's no quick throw by passes or leg drags or Toriandos because you're so close to them already.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I like.
Your head's in, you're close to their hips, so they can't back away. That's why it's the worst thing is when someone completely separates and now you're just like this or you're like this.
Right.
You don't want to play from those positions too long. Awesome. Anyone left in the chat? So guys, after this, those of you guys who got the email, we're going to be doing, I'm going to be hanging out for like a Zoom, just like a quick hangout, talk to everyone, see how everyone's doing face to face. But I wanted to put up a bunch of techniques on video, so in case some people weren't watching it live, although we had a decent amount of watching today, but if you weren't watching it live, you can still watch it later, and then you can build off that. As usual, we're doing our Tuesday and Thursdays video breakdowns, match breakdowns. We're going to be doing those on Zoom in our Zoom channel, so definitely meet up if you guys have that one. You're going to need to download the app for, but I don't even think you need an account. I think you could just, as long as you have the meeting ID, you can just join us. So definitely try to join us. I'd like to see some of you guys and talk about like keeping our minds active so that when we come back to training, we'll still be
even
sharp.
Right now. All that stuff we just did, I learned. Listen, if all I took today was the head, heat close, the hips far, I'm gonna be hitting those pretty soon after. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I should ask you that like a year ago, 2 years ago.
Probably didn't realize that was the problem. That was what was making it hard.
Because you take problems that you had in the past on other things and you try to imprint them onto this, and it was just the problem was just a little different. It's kind of a weird. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's a unique kind of position.
Yeah. Well,
compared to stuff that I do, I guess
if you think about it, it's like I got to frame and get my hips back out and make space so the person can't flatten me. It all makes sense.
Yeah, you're framing, but you're putting your head forward. It's really you're only escaping your hips, but you need to have a certain. The problem is your arms are so short, and you need to be connected to their arms. So the distance control is weirder compared to legs, where you have a certain amount of distance.
That's why I first started using it a lot against an underhook, because the underhook, if I push in the head, it's easy to just push the head just a little bit and throw the leg over. It's like a quick attack, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I'm here on the arm, you know. So I think that's like a good way to learn this move, and then you start doing it from like a standard knee shield, then reverse Del Hiva, then double unders. Yeah,
if you hit this on somebody when they're in reverse Del Hiva, you deserve a medal or something. That's like an achievement unlocked.
Exactly.
I'm going to call you up. As soon as I do it today for the first time, I'm going to call you up. It'll be like 9 o'clock at night. You'll be like, yeah, I did it. And I'll just hang up. And you'll
and I'll know why. I'll know what you meant by that.
I get so happy when I hit this specific move. Even if it's get like a blue belt or something, I've hit this against pretty good guys too. Because once you get the leg over, I mean, the rate that you finish. How often does somebody get out of that?
I know it's hard to get out of it.
You know, even when you first started, like it's like a high percentage moves. But now that you've been doing it,
now people are more and more aware of it. They'll get out a little more often. But like,
I don't know.
At first, it was like when people didn't think like anything of it, because it's a quick thing to set up. You could just throw the leg over.
I guess what are guys doing here? They're just jumping over real quick, and then you just end up in armbar position.
Sometimes a combination of them beating my head and walking around.
But do you think they get out more? They get out more no-gi probably because it's more like slippery, or no?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Because you probably end up there more no-gi just because.
I attack it more no-gi because
there's so much friction in the gi. Like, how do you get out?
Yeah, it's gonna be harder to get out.
Especially when you figure four. That elbow's never coming out. You don't even have to hold it. If you have a nice figure four and knees pinched, that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the times you get me in this, it's over. And I can get out of a lot of stuff. This is one of the ones that's very difficult to get out of. You can't. You're not hanging out here. Like I'll hang out in figure four all day.
I know it's hard to just hang out. You gotta get out of the position. You gotta walk around, sit back.
That's what you gotta. That's what you have to like. Once people start drilling this, the finish. There's no rush, and there's different things that you could do off balance. Like you were saying, open them up. If they're gonna step on their own, they're making space. You have to do it right away. As soon as they step, bam, pull.
Yeah.
Or push the head. You like the clamping the leg down. That's what's brutal about.
That's a big one.
My forehead's on the floor.
Yeah. I can't you separate them for a second. You have to post the hand. Once again, guys, check out To the Death podcast with Ed and Dave.
Go to tothedeathpodcast.com. To the Death Podcast on all social medias. We're on YouTube. We're going to do weekly episodes every Monday for as long as we can keep it up.
Are you going to be uploading the podcast to YouTube?
It's on YouTube right now, yeah.
Oh, so you can listen to it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I just have
Is it just audio?
Just a picture and audio, yeah.
Oh, I see.
There's a way to add more stuff. We'll level up eventually, but right now, one step at a time.
Absolutely.
And then eventually we'll have guests, and then that's it.
Awesome. So if anyone wants to stick around to our Zoom channel, go check Facebook for the link, or Instagram. I think I put in the story has the meeting ID. There's no password. All right. Thanks for watching. Oh.